celebrating 75 years.
President Joe Biden taking a victory lap in Philadelphia tonight after this morning new federal data showing yet another report of strong job growth.
Washington correspondent Raquel Martin has more on that story.
Well, that's some good news.
New data shows in January, the U.S. added more than 500,000 jobs to the economy, bringing the national unemployment rate to 3.4%.
The last time unemployment rate was that low was May of 1969.
Friday, President Joe Biden said the robust jobs report proves his economic agenda is working.
It makes crystal clear what I've always known in my gut. These critics and cynics are wrong.
According to the report, job growth was especially strong for restaurant, retail, and construction businesses. But the big question remains whether the new job gains will hurt the Federal Reserve's efforts to try and bring down inflation. Bank of America economist Ethan Harris says the January report certainly won't help.
I think it's too much of a good thing, frankly. So we really think we need to see a significant cooling down to get inflation under control.
But Daniel Zhao, an economist with Glassdoor, says the gains are still good news.
The labor market is healthy overall. It is doing its part. Now it's incumbent on inflation to come down enough while the labor market is still resilient.
Earlier this week, Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell said he remains optimistic about the economy.
I continue to think that there's a path to getting inflation back down to 2% without a really significant economic decline.
He says the Fed will continue to raise interest rates until that goal is met. In Washington, Raquel Martin.
The Pentagon dismissing China's claims that a high-altitude balloon now traveling over the center of the U.S. is a weather monitoring device that blew off course. Defense officials reassuring they're closely tracking the balloon and will continue to assess their next steps. This situation also prompting U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken to postpone his planned high-stakes trip to China. The Pentagon today leaving many questions unanswered due to classified information.
The fact is, we know that it's a surveillance balloon, and I'm not going to be able to be more specific than that.
The Pentagon also saying they've conveyed this information to China, the large Chinese surveillance balloon, now heading southeastward, appearing in these images over Missouri. Congressional Republicans like Montana Representative Ryan Zinke tweeting this: "Shoot it down. The Chinese spy balloon is a clear provocation." Senator Mitt Romney adding this: "A big Chinese balloon in the sky and millions of Chinese TikTok balloons on our phones. Let's shut them all down." And in an update tonight, the Pentagon now confirming that there's a second Chinese surveillance balloon flying over South America. There were reports earlier today of a balloon flying over Colombia and Venezuela.
And now to the life-threatening cold sweeping through the northern half of our country. 9 states across the Northeast are on alert for bitter cold temperatures. A dangerous and likely record-breaking freeze invading the Northeast. The cold moving in, bringing temperatures down to what feels like minus 21 degrees in Maine and minus 7 in Buffalo, New York. In Massachusetts, Boston declaring a cold emergency, schools closed and warming centers opened. New Hampshire's governor warning residents to take this cold seriously.
Thermia can set in just 10 minutes, and we know it's going to be even colder than that across the entire state.
Doctors urging people to look out for the most vulnerable. Thankfully, this cold snap will be just that. It'll move in and move just as quickly out as it came in, with above normal temperatures expected next week.
Time now for Utah's most accurate forecast with Alana Brophy. Weather rates certified 11 years in a row.
And we had that cold. We had that 62 below at Peter Sinks earlier in the week, and then warmed up.
I thought you were about to say that our cold at 30 degrees felt like the negative. I was about to say, oh, glad.
No, I'm loving the 30s now.
That's right.
They feel like nice and warm compared to what we were seeing at the beginning of the week, right? I mean, I feel like, whew, what a roller coaster we have ridden this week. Now we're battling bad air, and that's actually prevented some northern Utah valleys from warming up. Unhealthy air out there for sensitive groups in Salt Lake County. It's a nice shot, but goodness, the city lights really just show you that inversion layer. We're breathing in those pollutants as we continue to trap them on the valley floor. This is what it looked like to start the day. That red for a fiery sunrise caught by Scott Taylor. Did you know red was also where the air quality would fall in Cache Valley? And that's where it's going to be tomorrow. Also the case in Salt Lake County and Duchesne County. Unhealthy air in Uinta County and for the rest of the Wasatch Front, including Box Elder County. So not great when it comes to that elevated particulate matter. We know that. We've been dealing with it for days, so we need a storm to come in and shake things up. One's on the way. It just doesn't help us for Saturday. Deck of clouds moving through the Beehive State, high pressure in control, and eventually this is going to shift over to the east. Those clouds will deteriorate as we head through the overnight and into the morning hours, but they're out there now, which will actually pad some of our overnight lows from hitting very cold temps. It will still be cold, just not as cold as it has been. High of 18 in Logan today, made it into the upper 30s in Salt Lake, but the inversion stopping us, and so did the cloud cover from getting any warmer. Provo did a little better at 40. Vernal, not so great. 34 in Moab. Just above freezing in Milford, and we made it into the mid-50s in St. George, close to where they should be this time of year. 57's the average. Okay, as we make it through our Saturday, we have pretty quiet conditions. This evening, a few clouds, of course, and we knew that the valley haze was going to hold on. Now, for our Saturday, we stay quiet, a mix of sun and clouds, but then by Sunday, we've got changes. Here comes that storm, and it looks like a decent trough. It's moving in from the west. It brings valley rain to start in many spots. Now, places like Cache Valley will likely see straight snow from this, which you notice. Also, our mountains will pick up snow in northern and central Utah. Also, the chance of seeing that in our southern valleys. Colder air moves in with a cold front with this system. That will allow rain to transition over to snow. So we will see that through our Sunday and then into Monday morning. As you look at snow potential, mountains look like the healthiest here. Anywhere from 5 to 10. Some areas like the Cottonwoods could do a little better and get up to a foot. But we also see the chance of that snow in our central mountains as well. Valley's going to pick up some accumulation once that cold air comes in and changes the rain to snow. How much? 1 to 4. These are early estimates here. 2 to 5 on the benches, 5 to 7 in our mountain valleys, and then our mountains in total 6 to 12. Again, some areas will be on the lower end of that. Cottonwoods will do a little higher. So there you go. Not so bad. It's going to be a decent storm, but what we really needed to do is not just drop off moisture, but clean up this inversion, which hopefully we will get cleaner air as a result. 20s, 30s, and 40s. It's a temperature buffet for your Saturday. Whatever you like, you can have. We've got teens, 30s, and 40s on the eastern side of the state, and 30s and 40s for the I-15 corridor. Upper 50s expected in St. George. Areas that are not inverted, they're warming. That warming trend means business. It stops in St. George after Saturday because of the system coming in. Now, there's the slightest chance we could see some wet weather on Monday, but plenty of sunshine and temperatures in the 50s for the next 7 down there in the southwest corner of the state. Here's the Wasatch Front. That rain changes to snow. Snow Monday morning, which means the Monday morning commute. Let me leave this with you on your Friday night. The Monday morning commute could be rough. I'm telling you days in advance, so you're prepared. Another chance of a quick hitter on Thursday. We'll see how that shapes up, but we want the storm at this point because we've been a little spoiled this year. We haven't seen long stretches of inversion, right?
And you feel it when it sets in like that.
Yeah, you're like, whoa, I like it without this. Yeah, definitely.
Thank you, Alana. Time now for a look at sports. They're Wesley Ruff.
And if you like sports, there is a lot going on tonight. Plenty to choose from.
Big night locally. 2 nationally ranked Utah women's teams in action. The basketball team on the road, the gymnastics team at home. And Utah Jazz also at home tonight trying to extend their winning streak, taking on the Hawks. We've got highlights and reaction coming up next in sports.